Hey, Jason Seiden. So last week I was in Austin and I was speaking at a conference, and it's nice after a couple years to get back on the road and do some speaking. And I got asked by a couple people about how I present. Apparently I've mellowed out. Apparently I was good before, and I've mellowed out and gotten better during quarantine. And so I shared my secret with folks, and I thought I'd share it today because I recognize my brain is a little broken in that I actually enjoy getting up in front of an audience and speaking. And I have flubbed. I've done well, I've done horrible. Speaking has been a part of my career since the beginning. It's been a part of my life since high school. So this is the one thing that I've figured out for myself that I think is good, that I have found helpful, right? It's the one piece of advice that I didn't get that I had to figure out. Then I'm going to share it because I have found it helpful. You might too. I call it my 3 concentric ring theory, right? I pictured sort of 3 rings, and inside that center ring is the presentation. That's the main idea I'm going to present, and the examples and kind of the color commentary around it. It all has to fit in that center circle. Simple, simple, simple. One idea, maybe a couple different facets of it, right? So like here's an idea, here's the world without the idea, here's the world with the idea, here's why you should make the change, the benefit, all of that can fit in that center circle. And the questions that I could get from that are at the next rung. So those questions might be, take me deeper into this idea or into an adjacent space. Like, okay, what's the impact if we follow that, to this other area or competitive, right? Well, what about this competing idea or a heckle? How would somebody make fun of the idea? That's the second ring. The third ring is the follow-up, right? So what about this competing idea? Well, but have you considered this, or are you aware of this other research, right? If I can make it out to that third ring, if I can share the idea, answer a question, address a follow-up, then I figure I've earned the right to say I don't know. When I know my stuff that well, I can give a talk. And one of the things I've done over the course of my career is I've learned to keep my talks constrained to stuff that fits in that center circle. Early on in my career, I would try to share a lot. Or if somebody would ask a question, I would take it and I would just expound. And the problem is it doesn't leave any of us any place to go. First of all, it's boring. And secondly, if there's any follow-up question, I'm out. I'm out immediately. So it starts to feel a mile wide and an inch deep because you can't follow it up with anything. So having the discipline to stick to that center circle may feel a little limiting, but number one, you get your point across because you're not trying to jam too much information. And number two, it makes it feel real because you can actually follow that thread and go deep a little bit. And you know what? Third, it actually makes the audience feel smart because you're not just telling them everything, you're giving them that idea, they've got time to digest it, ask a question, you get better interaction. So anyway, I do that more now than I ever have. Limit myself, keep myself to that innermost of the 3 circles, get to that next ring out, be prepared for the follow-up, earn the right to say I don't know. And then when I don't know, I will literally say, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, right? Like you've taken me out of what I'm aware of. The one, like you can't ask a question, but the one follow-up question I do tend to get is, well, how do you know what's on that ring? It takes some time. You got to play with the material. You got to know it really well because you just need to be in situations where you get asked questions. So after a career of kind of sitting in a communication space, whether it's for marketing or talent acquisition or employer branding, I have a sense for how people really think about this stuff. So at this point, it's become intuitive. But early on, I would literally sit with sticky notes and make a map. I would look at the idea and I'd say, well, what questions do I have, right? And I'd sort of lay them out, and I'd work with other people that I work with, and we would just sort of heckle each other, right? I mean, almost like writers on a show. It's like, let's just try and make the jokes, just good, bad, don't know, but like, what's the back row going to throw at me? Because if I can answer the front row question, the back row heckle, then I'm good. Treat it all the same. So if you've got presentations coming up, or if this is something that you've wanted to do, or if you even just have to be able to present to a committee and you want to make sure that your ideas come across as well as possible, think about those 3 circles and limit your initial go around to the information that just sits at the core of your idea in that center circle, and then be prepared for a question and a follow-up. Earn the right to say, I don't know. That's what I wish somebody would have told me a lot earlier in my career. So hopefully this will be useful to you now. I love you. I'll see you next week.